Hello, my name is Mason Cersei, and I work in a beverage company that focuses on manufacturing and redistribution. So, to start off, I think that we need a technology update and primarily just a systems update. Or better yet, I should say innovations in closed loop systems because they can lead to massive savings in production and increase employee morale. So the vision is having a closed loop plastic extruder that can recycle its own waste. So primarily what happens when they bottle goods is we get polyethylene plastic resin that is pushed through an extruder to make a little vial shape, which is called the preform here. So it goes pellet to preform to bottle, and then it fills into the finished good, and then after the consumer gets it, it gets recycled, gets put crushed and mechanically geared into these flakes back into the pellets, and it goes for an infinite cycle. However, there is multiple breaks in this, so there is a large gray area between getting finished goods and recyclables. There's a large gray area between recycling plastic and getting it into these polyethylene flakes. So what I focused on were these two areas for companies to look into. I wanted to start off by saying that PepsiCo has developed its own manufacturing process so that any mistakes were made in the manufacturing process, the unit will be discarded and melted back into the pellets. This is a Lean Six Sigma process because it reduces waste while simultaneously controlling the quality of the finished product. So imagine if there was an extra, imagine if this preform had a large plastic bubble right here. This would then be discarded and then sent back to be made into pellets. So it wouldn't go through this entire process, it would just take a shortcut backwards. It would go back a few steps. This can increase Lean Six Sigma. It reduces materials needed and it can make the finished manufacturing goods, I forget the word, uniform. So in January 2022, PepsiCo Beverages announced a $35 million investment with closed loop partners to create a closed loop recycling fund. This investment deploys small scale, modular recovery facilities in underserved communities. These facilities recycle polyethylene and provide jobs for small communities. Each system can recycle 8,000 tons per year. This process has increased revenue for PepsiCo by reducing the cost of raw materials and has also improved employee satisfaction. So down here is a blurry picture of a of finished product in a PepsiCo plant and is ready to be sent out into the market. Personally, as an employee for a particular warehouse in a different organization, I would take pride in the fact that this could be made from materials that was harming the environment. So I have evidence later that shows that. Circulatory of polyethylene in Europe focus on chemically recycling that complements mechanical recycling. So what I mean by this is that there was a research team in Europe that focused on chemical alterations to recycling plastic, which I'll get to in a minute. I'll tie these two together. This research team discusses that if it chemically treats the plastic that it's recycling, it can reduce emissions, GHG emissions, which is bad for the environment, and reduces plastic waste in the mechanical recycling process. So to summarize, a research team in Europe led by Antonio Ferfari discusses that chemically treating plastic can reduce plastic waste and reduce GHG emissions for polyester packaging and textile systems in Europe. They concluded that closed loop partners have reduced recycling emissions and reduces the need for mechanical recycling. Now, a closed loop partners are the ones that made the deal with PepsiCo to create these modular recycling structures. So this study influenced a lot of the recycling process. But I'm in the US. How does that affect me? I mean, I don't want a research team in Europe to do the dirty work for me. I have, my own community I need to take care of. So, recycling plastic can lead to tax incentives and provide waste management for underserved communities. The Recycling Partnership is calling on Congress to pass legislation that includes a recycling infrastructure investment tax credit to help unlock the economic environmental benefits of recycling. This article was written earlier last year, and since then there has been an EPA estimate that modernizes recycling infrastructure and can provide all residents with recycling services, but also incentivize the need to recycle. So if you ever look at those soda lime glass bottles, there's always a recycling mark on it. That's not necessarily tax, but that's incentive for people to recycle. So I believe that in the future that there is evidence that large scale recycling can lead to a big tax credit, which could help long term the business. I included the triple bottom line. So for the people part, creating recycling systems can create jobs, and having modular facilities can provide waste infrastructure and create environmental impacts that benefit local communities. Profit. By recycling waste, you can save money on raw materials and reuse that waste to repurpose your finished products. Recycling plastic in mass quantity can also create a massive tax credit, and by implementing a Six Sigma approach, the company can minimize defects in the finished product. For the planet, this can reduce waste in landfills and can create cleaner water and lowers GHG emissions. So, to finish off, I want to talk about the plastic extrusion process, which is right here. This is where the area of focus is. There needs to be a plastic extrusion right here for technology to have these refurbished materials be processed. So right here is where I am suggesting that there is a mechanical and chemical alteration to this plastic. So the technology that needs to be developed is right here. Here are my references, and thank you for watching.